Everyone would agree that medicine has come a long way throughout history. Nowadays, no matter your ailment, you can go to a pharmacy and find a magic pill that will take all your troubles away. Headache? No problem. Excessive gas? We've got you. Erectile dysfunction? Me too, brother, but things took a while to get to this point. Back in the day, in many ancient civilizations, and even in the early days of the US, discovering medicines was a matter of trial and error. And there was a lot of error. A lot of error. Here are 8 bizarre and downright terrifying cures to diseases that will make you think twice before you complain about that nasty cough syrup. Number 1. Chloroform, the handy-dandy knockout juice beloved by serial killers and stalkers alike, was originally used as an anesthetic for surgical procedures. It gained massive popularity in the US after it was administered to Queen Victoria to reduce her pain during childbirth. And hey, if I had to push out 9 royal babies, I'd probably reach for the rag too. Chloroform was later used on soldiers in the Civil War and other conflicts around the globe. However, a spike in sudden, unexplained deaths during surgeries led to controversy surrounding the drug's use, and chloroform's popularity as an anesthetic died down. Aside from just putting patients to sleep, chloroform was also used for a variety of medicinal purposes. It was used to treat asthma, cholera, and even gonorrhea. It was used as a sweetener for other medicines. As Mary Poppins always says, a spoonful of chloroform helps the medicine go down. Number 2. Human remains. Yeah, you read that right. A few hundred years ago, primarily in Europe, the practice of consuming human remains as medicine was really not that uncommon. As one historian, Richard Suggs, said in Smithsonian Magazine, the question was not, should you eat human flesh, but what sort of flesh should you eat? Decisions. From a powder made from crushed-up skulls, to pieces of mummified bodies, to freshly gathered blood, people ate other people in order to cure various ailments. This stemmed primarily from a belief that remains of a certain body part would cure sicknesses of the same body part. Like, people ingested skull powder to cure headaches, drank blood to eliminate blood diseases, and so on and so on. In some instances, village people would go to executions and then pay for a small cup of fresh blood from the executed body, like some messed-up county fair. Perhaps the most horrifying example of this cannibalistic approach to medicine was in the 1600s, when a German physician suggested that a jerky made from the remains of red-headed corpses would treat a variety of ailments. Gingers have truly had the world against them since day one. Slim Jim. Anyone? Number 3. Urine. From one body fluid to the next, urine was used in ancient civilizations to treat a variety of diseases, such as asthma, arthritis, allergies, indigestion, migraines, and even cancer. People would usually drink their urine, but could also massage it into their skin or gums to get the desired effect. Ancient Roman dentists are even known to have used it to whiten teeth, which to me just sounds like they enjoyed pranking their patients. In the early 20th century, a British naturopath popularized the practice of drinking your own urine, or urophagia. He called it urine therapy, basing his evidence on personal experience with ingesting his own urine. At one point, he claimed that in a bout of ill health, he treated himself with a 45-day fast that consisted only of urine and tap water. Out with the old and in with the old, he wrote books on the subject and prescribed urine therapy to thousands of patients. Urophagia and urine therapy has been most popular in India and, unlike the previous entries on this list, is actually still practiced today, despite numerous studies advising against it and outlining the various health risks associated with it. Personally, I'll stick to Advil. Number 4. Malaria. Yeah, that malaria. In 1927, Austrian Dr. Julius Wagner-Jahrig witnessed a psychosis patient return to sanity after recovering from a high fever that was caused by a bacterial infection. This was apparently Wagner-Jahrig's eureka moment. He hypothesized that fevers could be a cure for psychosis, specifically psychosis as a result of advanced syphilis. After what I can only imagine were some pretty persuasive explanations, he began administering malaria to patients with syphilis in order to induce a fever. The malaria would cause a patient's fever to reach such a high level that syphilis couldn't survive in the body. The syphilis would die, and then the patient would be treated for the malaria itself, usually with quinine. Now, Wagner Jarig was not entirely wrong, as he did have a success rate of about 25% using this procedure. The other 75% of the time, either the procedure was ineffective or the patient died from the malaria itself. This seems like a classic case of fighting fire with fire, and look, if it was me, I would want to get rid of my syphilis just as much as the next guy, but I would probably draw the line at knowingly giving myself one of the world's most devastating infections. But hey, anything not to wear a condom. The real irony of this one is that for his work, Wagner Jarig was given the Nobel Prize in Medicine, and about 1 year later, penicillin was invented and malaria treatment was halted immediately. Hopefully he got to keep the medal. Number 5, water. Now hold on. Water? Water's great for you. My doctor says I need to drink 14 gallons a day. I never go anywhere without my inspirational water jug. Blah 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 blah. Maybe I should be more specific. Drowning. This cure was focused specifically on victims of rabies. Probably the most well-known symptoms of rabies is hydrophobia, which is the fear of water. When rabies victims have developed this symptom, they have an extreme aversion to water and most other fluids. This is what causes the foaming at the mouth that we often see in depictions of rabies. The victims can no longer swallow their own saliva. Attempts to drink can cause extremely painful spasms of the throat and esophagus. Imagine the feeling you get when you take a shot of tequila. Now imagine that every day, all the time. Hydrophobia also makes the disease more easily spreadable as saliva production is increased and the disease spreads through bites. Now here's where the cure comes in. Rabies patients can have an extreme fear of water. And how do we get over our fears? Exposure. So naturally, rabies victims were submerged in water like clowns in a carnival dunk tank, in the hopes that if they ingested enough water, the disease would get flushed out of their body and their hydrophobia with it. Now the problem is, no matter how hard we all tried growing up, humans can't breathe underwater. In the ancient world, these doctors didn't differentiate between taking water into the stomach and ingesting it or inhaling it, filling the lungs with it and drowning. As a result, this practice usually proved deadly. I guess afterwards, the victim didn't suffer from rabies anymore. They didn't really suffer from anything after that. Number 6, trepanning. Trepanning or trepanation is, simply put, the practice of drilling holes in the skull to treat diseases of the brain. Nothing says, fix me up, like taking a metal stake directly to the dome. This particular procedure has been around for thousands of years and spans multiple cultures all over the world. There's evidence of trepanation happening as long as 10,000 years ago, and it is widely seen as one of the oldest surgical procedures of which there is concrete archaeological evidence. In the early days, trepanation was largely used in religious rituals, as people behaving irrationally were often thought to be occupied by evil spirits. And these people would, of course, argue that they were just having a rough week. Maybe they were laid off from the temple building crew, or maybe they had spilled wine on their finest loincloth. Their complaints would fall into fierce though, and the local surgeon would show up and whip out his trusty drill, a quick hole in the head, and voila. The evil spirits would fly away into the night. Trepanation was also used in hopes to cure mental disorders. Usually, the bone was taken off of the skull and would be kept and worn as a charm to ward off the presence of further evil spirits. To me, that is maybe the most metal thing I've ever heard. I'd wear a chunk of my own head to keep me from getting possessed any day. Now, trepanation is technically still in use and is a very practical way to treat brain injuries. Many times surgeons have to open up the skull to relieve pressure from swelling or bleeding in the brain. And this can be a life-saving procedure to those who have just suffered a traumatic brain injury. That being said, in the modern sense, trepanation is done with incredible precision. not to mention the benefit of anesthesia. In the early days, though, I can see this one being a little bit uncomfortable. Moving on to number 7. Heroin. I guess we have to figure out how dangerous substances are somehow. Heroin was developed in the late 19th century in Germany by the pharmaceutical company Bayer as a suppressant for coughs and other respiratory illnesses. It was originally billed as, get this, a non-addictive alternative to morphine. Now, I want to take a second to dissect the irony of that statement. First of all, claiming that something is less addictive than morphine is like claiming that your cooking tastes better than a pile of hot garbage. It's a low bar to reach. And then, on top of that, Bayer was flat out wrong. Over time, after it was commercially available and used as cough medicine for years, doctors began to see how easy it was for people to get addicted to and abuse heroin. The medical community quickly took note of the dangers, and by the early 20th century, its use as medicine was heavily restricted. So don't do drugs, kids. Just take a lozenge. Number 8. Red hot iron. Now, I just couldn't resist including this one. If anyone has ever had a hemorrhoid, you know how much of a pain in the ass they can be, literally. A hemorrhoid is what occurs when the veins or blood vessels in or around the anus become inflamed, swollen, and irritated. They can be internal, presiding just inside the colon, or external, hanging down outside the anus like a bunch of nasty grapes. Hemorrhoids are usually nothing more than a nuisance, making it uncomfortable to sit or use the bathroom. They can be treated with ointments, painkillers, and home remedies, but in the olden days, because why the hell not, treatment for hemorrhoids included shoving a red-hot iron directly into the anus to essentially burn off and cauterize the hemorrhoids to the point where they were no longer hemorrhoids. Sure, because at that point, they were third-degree burns. Either way, I can't sit. This procedure was popularized by Hippocrates, known as the founding father of medicine. And to take it one step further, Hippocrates got specific about how to do this procedure, saying that when the cautery is applied, the patient's head and hands should be held so that he should cry out, for this would make the rectum project out more. Imagine, if you will, getting over the initial embarrassment of having hemorrhoids in the first place. You go to your doctor, and the next thing you know, you're strapped down, being branded like a slutty cow, with the doctor whispering into your ear to further project your rectum. This is the stuff of nightmares. These cures vary in their absurdity, but one thing is for sure. I, for one, am glad we live in a society where I didn't have to endure any of this. If you like this content, don't forget to leave a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe. Your support will motivate us to bring more creative videos and quality content.